You know what's funny? The moment you pull back your energy, the man who hurt you suddenly starts wondering what's going on. See, when a man thinks he's got you all figured out, that's when you've got the power to confuse him, not by yelling, not by begging, not by proving anything, but by silence and self-control. Because nothing shakes a man more than a woman who refuses to react the way he expects. When a man hurts you, he's expecting emotion. He's expecting drama. He's expecting tears. That's his comfort zone. Because as long as you're reacting, he still knows he's got access to your heart. But when you switch that energy, when you go quiet, when you stop explaining and start moving like he doesn't even exist, that's when he starts losing his balance. You want to confuse a man who hurt you. Act like peace is your new language. Act like calm is your new revenge. Let me tell you something. Emotional detachment is power. You don't have to fight him. You don't have to chase him. You don't even have to prove you're right. Just level up in silence. Let your growth be louder than your pain. Let your absence be felt more than your presence ever was. Because when he sees that you're glowing without him, when he sees that you're unbothered, that you've got your joy back, he'll question everything. You want to confuse him. Start acting unpredictable. When he texts, don't rush to reply. When he calls, let him wonder if you even care. When he tries to trigger you, just smile. That smile, that calm, collected smile, will mess with him more than any argument ever could. Because men expect chaos when they cause pain. They don't expect peace. They don't expect you to choose yourself. The secret is, stop showing him that he matters more than your peace. Start acting like your peace is sacred, your time is gold, your love is earned, not given out for free. The most confusing thing you can do is show that you are whole without him, because nothing disarms a man faster than realizing he lost a woman who's not begging to be found. So next time a man hurts you, don't react, redirect. Redirect your energy into yourself. Get your nails done, fix your crown, go to the gym, start that project, plan that trip, build your glow up in silence. Let him watch from a distance while you evolve into everything he thought you couldn't be without him. That's confusion at its finest and victory without confrontation. Because the truth is, you don't get even. You get elevated. You don't clap back. You level up. You don't chase. You choose peace. That's how you confuse him. That's how you win without saying a word. When a man hurts you, the first thing he expects is a reaction. He wants to see that his words or his actions still have power over you. He wants to measure how deeply he can affect your emotions. But silence, pure, calm silence, is the one thing that throws him completely off balance. It's not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's emotional discipline. When you stop reacting, you're sending a signal that says, you no longer have control over my peace. That silence becomes a mirror, reflecting his behavior right back at him. It makes him think, it makes him question, and it makes him realize that your energy is no longer available for his chaos. The moment you choose silence, you shift the power dynamic without even saying a word. Most people confuse silence with surrender, but in reality, it's the highest form of control. When you decide not to engage in arguments, not to explain yourself to someone who doesn't value your effort, you take back your emotional energy. You stop feeding the fire he's trying to light. That's what confuses him, because he's prepared for tears, for shouting, for emotional scenes, but he's never prepared for stillness. Silence doesn't mean you don't feel the pain. It means you've learned how to carry it with grace. It's an energy that says, I've outgrown the need to respond to every hurt thrown my way. It's not about pretending to be fine. It's about choosing not to give the situation more power than it deserves. Silence also creates mystery. It makes him wonder what's going through your mind, what you're planning, what you're feeling. He'll start trying to decode your quietness, replaying every moment in his head, questioning himself. That's when he starts realizing what he's done. You don't have to explain your worth anymore. Your silence does it for you. It's like suddenly switching off a song that he thought would keep playing forever. The absence of sound becomes louder than any words you could have spoken. You've shifted the focus back to you, and now he's the one who feels uncertain. There's also strength in silence because it gives you clarity. When you stop reacting, you start seeing things for what they really are. You begin to separate your emotions from your decisions. You stop letting pain speak for you and let wisdom take over. In that quiet space, you find your balance again. You realize that not every situation deserves your response, not every person deserves an explanation, and not every hurt deserves attention. Silence allows you to regain control over your own story. When you stay silent, you create a boundary without having to announce it. It's like saying, "You no longer get access to my emotions." It teaches the other person that your peace isn't up for negotiation. It confuses him because he expects the same pattern: reaction, attention, explanation. But instead, he finds calmness and indifference. That quiet energy unsettles him because it shows strength, not dependence. It makes him realize he can't manipulate what he no longer controls. You said keynote no point 2, expanded into 500 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said emotional detachment is not about becoming cold or heartless. It's about learning how to protect your emotions from being used against you. When you master detachment, you stop reacting to every shift in someone else's behavior. You stop allowing your peace to rise and fall depending on what a man says or does. Detachment gives you emotional freedom, and that freedom is what confuses him most. Because when he hurts you and you remain calm, he doesn't know where he stands anymore. The game he was trying to play loses its rhythm. Emotional detachment is you saying, "I can care, but I won't collapse." It's you showing that your feelings are valid, but your self-control is stronger. When a man knows he can get to you, he'll keep pushing your emotional buttons because it keeps him in control. But when you detach, you take that power away. You become unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable. He can no longer predict how you'll respond or what you'll do next. Detachment makes him question his own importance in your world. It flips the script because suddenly the woman who once reacted to every small thing is now calm, collected, and emotionally grounded. That's unsettling for him because he realizes that the emotional bond he once used as leverage is no longer working. The more composed you remain, the more he wonders what changed. Detachment also helps you see things clearly. When emotions aren't clouding your judgment, you can look at the situation with wisdom instead of pain. You start to understand patterns, intentions, and motives. You stop interpreting everything through the lens of hurt and begin to see it through the lens of truth. That's when you realize some people only thrive when they have control over your emotions. Detachment breaks that cycle. It reminds you that your happiness doesn't depend on how anyone treats you. It depends on how you choose to respond. That mindset confuses anyone who expected to have emotional control over you because now their words and actions no longer dictate your peace. Emotional detachment also gives you space to rebuild yourself. It's the moment you pull your energy back and redirect it toward your growth. You stop overthinking what he's doing and start focusing on your goals, your peace, your glow. You become centered again. That shift in focus creates a vibration he can feel. You're no longer emotionally chasing him. You're investing that same energy into yourself. He'll start to notice that you're not available for the emotional games anymore, and that realization is unsettling. It's like taking away his favorite source of validation, your reaction. When you detach emotionally, you start choosing logic over impulse. You no longer text out of anger or explain out of guilt. You learn to observe before responding, to understand before reacting. That inner calm becomes your power. It keeps you from saying things you'll regret, from begging for clarity, from falling into emotional traps. It shows that you can love someone deeply but still prioritize yourself completely. Emotional detachment isn't about giving up. It's about reclaiming control over your inner world so no one else can shake your peace again. You said keynote no point 3 expanded into 500 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, protecting your peace is one of the most powerful moves you can make after being hurt, because peace is something most people don't realize they have until it's gone. When you start protecting it, you're telling the world that your emotional stability is no longer up for discussion. You begin setting limits on what you allow to disturb you, and that changes everything. Protecting your peace means you stop chasing explanations from people who already showed you who they are. It means you stop replaying situations in your head, trying to find meaning in someone's lack of care. It's choosing to value your calm over your curiosity. When a man sees that nothing he does can shake that peace anymore, he starts getting confused because he was used to you being emotionally available for his drama. Now, your silence and your calmness make him question his own importance. Protecting your peace isn't about ignoring your feelings. It's about choosing which emotions deserve your attention. It's realizing that not every message needs a reply, not every situation deserves closure, and not every apology deserves acceptance. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away without reacting. That's when you start regaining your power because you're no longer giving it away in emotional exchanges that drain you. You learn that your peace is sacred, and anyone who disturbs it doesn't deserve access to it. The moment you decide to guard that peace, you set a new standard for how people treat you. You're not being difficult. You're being disciplined. When you protect your peace, you become intentional about what you consume, who you talk to, and where you spend your energy. You start avoiding conversations that lead nowhere, people who leave you feeling empty, and thoughts that steal your sleep. You realize peace isn't just silence. It's the absence of unnecessary emotional noise. It's waking up without dread. It's walking away without guilt. It's speaking less but meaning more. That calmness is powerful, and it confuses anyone who once thrived on seeing you emotional or reactive. They start wondering why they can't trigger you anymore, why their presence doesn't affect your mood, why your happiness seems untouched. That's when you know your peace is working like armor. It doesn't stop life from happening, but it shields your heart from unnecessary chaos. Protecting your peace also means understanding that not everything needs to be fixed. Some things just need to end. You stop trying to heal people who aren't ready to change. Stop trying to make someone see your worth. Stop explaining why you're choosing yourself. You understand that real peace comes when you stop participating in things that disturb it. You pull back your energy and give it to yourself instead of wasting it trying to change someone's behavior. That energy shift is what makes people who hurt you uncomfortable. They can feel when your spirit is no longer attached to their approval. They can sense that you're not chasing their attention anymore. That peace you protect becomes your shield. Your silence becomes your weapon, and your calmness becomes the most confusing thing they've ever encountered. You said keynote no. 4, expand it into 500 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings, ChatGPT said. Leveling up quietly is one of the most powerful ways to heal after being hurt because growth in silence speaks louder than any words you could ever say. When you start focusing on yourself instead of seeking validation or revenge, you automatically change the energy around you. You stop explaining your transformation and start living it. Every time you choose to focus on your goals instead of your pain, you're building strength that can't be faked. People expect you to crumble. They expect you to stay stuck. But when you keep moving forward without saying a word, it confuses them. Silence during your growth phase keeps people guessing, and that mystery becomes your strength. When you level up quietly, the results become your response. You don't need to prove anything to anyone because your glow will speak for itself. Quiet growth teaches patience and control. You stop rushing to show progress. You stop needing to announce every step, and you learn to trust the process, even when no one else sees it. You understand that every small improvement you make behind the scenes is setting the foundation for something greater. While others are busy talking, you're building. While they're watching, you're working. There's something incredibly powerful about moving in silence because it keeps people from interfering with your plans. Not everyone deserves access to your progress, and not everyone will celebrate your elevation. When you learn to grow privately, you protect your energy from unnecessary judgment and distraction. Leveling up quietly also shifts your focus from external validation to internal fulfillment. You start to do things for yourself, not to prove a point. You begin taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit, and you do it because it makes you stronger, not because you need someone to notice. That kind of growth is magnetic. It radiates confidence and peace. When the same people who hurt or doubted you start seeing your transformation, they won't know how to react. They'll remember the version of you that they tried to break, but what they'll see is someone who rebuilt themselves from the inside out. That contrast is what confuses them the most because you're not trying to make them regret anything. You're just living better. Quiet leveling up also builds self-respect. You start realizing that your success doesn't need an audience to be valid. You don't need to post every win or announce every move. The satisfaction comes from knowing that you're becoming the best version of yourself on your own terms. Every late night, every lesson learned, every moment of discipline adds up. You stop needing to explain your boundaries or your silence because your progress becomes your explanation. The peace you carry, the glow in your energy, the stability in your mindset, all of it tells the story of someone who chose to heal and grow instead of argue and prove. That quiet power draws attention naturally, and it leaves those who hurt you confused because they can't figure out how you went from broken to blooming without saying a single word. You said keynote no 5, expanded into 500 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, unpredictability is one of the most effective ways to take back emotional control when someone has hurt you, because people who like control thrive on being able to predict your reactions. The moment they can't guess what you'll do next, they lose their power. Being unpredictable doesn't mean playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It means refusing to give consistent access to your emotions. When a man knows that every time he calls, you'll answer, or every time he pulls away, you'll chase, he begins to use that rhythm to his advantage. But when you start responding differently, when you move with mystery and purpose, he no longer knows how to approach you. That uncertainty makes him uncomfortable because it takes him out of control. Unpredictability creates curiosity, and curiosity creates confusion. When you stop reacting the same way, he starts watching closely. If you used to text back instantly, now you take your time. If you used to argue when he pushed your buttons, now you respond with silence or a smile. He won't know how to interpret that because he was counting on your predictability. People who try to manipulate emotions rely on patterns, and once you break the pattern, you take away their ability to control you. Suddenly, you're not the same person he once understood. You've become calm, mysterious, and self-focused. That shift draws him in while also keeping him at a distance he can't measure. Unpredictability is not chaos, it's strategy. It's you choosing to move differently, to protect your peace by not allowing anyone to anticipate your every move. Being unpredictable also means learning how to manage your emotions in a way that no one can read them easily. You start controlling your facial expressions, your tone, your responses. You become emotionally disciplined. You don't let him see your anger or your disappointment because you understand that emotions are energy and energy is power. The less he knows what you're thinking, the more he starts thinking about you. When you stop feeding him predictable reactions, he starts wondering what's changed, what you're thinking, and whether you still care. That's the beauty of unpredictability. It makes them question themselves instead of you. Unpredictability keeps you in control of your energy. It gives you space to observe instead of react. You start deciding what's worth your attention and what's not. If he tries to trigger you, you choose calm. If he pulls back, you don't chase. If he reaches out, you stay polite but detached. Every unexpected move teaches him that the old version of you no longer exists. The more balanced and composed you become, the more unpredictable you appear, because peace is something manipulators never see coming. It's not about revenge. It's about control over your responses. When your emotions no longer follow the same predictable path, you become unreadable, and that unreadability confuses him because he can't figure out how to reach you anymore. You've become the calm in the chaos he tried to create, and that's the most unpredictable energy of all. You said keynote no. 6, expanded into 500 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, getting elevated instead of getting even is the ultimate form of emotional maturity because it means you've decided that peace, progress, and purpose are more valuable than revenge. When someone hurts you, your first instinct might be to prove a point, to make them feel what you felt, but that only keeps you tied to their energy. Elevation breaks that connection completely. It's when you stop fighting for closure and start focusing on your comeback. You no longer spend time explaining your side of the story because you understand that your success will speak for you. When you shift your attention from them to yourself, you rise above the situation in a way that they never expected. People who cause pain often expect you to stay down, but nothing confuses them more than watching you thrive after they try to break you. Getting elevated is about using pain as motivation. You turn heartbreak into hunger, disappointment into discipline, rejection into redirection. Every time you choose growth instead of bitterness, you gain a new layer of strength. You stop asking why it happened and start focusing on what it taught you. You stop reliving the past and start building a future that reflects your worth. The energy you once used to chase explanations now fuels your evolution. That's how you confuse the person who hurt you, by showing that what was meant to destroy you actually made you unstoppable. The best payback is progress because it reminds them that they had access to you once. but they'll never meet this version of you again. Elevation also means emotional intelligence. You stop reacting to negativity and start responding with grace. You learn to protect your energy and walk away from anything that disturbs your peace. When you rise, you realize not every situation deserves your attention. You learn to conserve your energy for things that build you instead of breaking you. That calm confidence makes the person who hurt you realize that they no longer have influence over your emotions. They can't provoke you, they can't confuse you, they can't make you doubt your worth anymore. You've risen above the level where their opinion matters. Getting elevated is also about transformation. It's about changing your mindset, your habits, your surroundings, and your standards. You start focusing on your goals, nurturing your body, feeding your mind, and surrounding yourself with peace. You create a life that reflects your healing. You stop explaining how much you've changed because it's visible in everything you do. People will notice that you don't move the same, you don't respond the same, and you don't carry the same pain anymore. You're too focused on becoming your best self to entertain the things that once drained you. Elevation is the point where you outgrow everything that tried to hold you down. The more you rise, the less accessible you become to people who still operate on a lower frequency. Your silence, your success, and your serenity become the loudest answers to every question they never deserved to ask.